So what is dot product? Well, dot product is a way of multiplying two vectors to get a number, a scalar. And, well, let me start by giving you a definition in terms of components. So what we do, let's say that we have a vector A with components A1, A2, A3, a vector B with components B1, B2, B3. Well, we multiply the first component by the first component, the second by the second, the third by the third. If you have n components, you keep going, and you sum all of these together. Okay, and important, this is a scalar. Okay, you do not get a vector, you get a number. I know it sounds completely obvious from the definition here, but in the middle of action, when you're going to do complicated problems, it's sometimes easy to forget. So that's a definition. What is it good for? Why would we ever want to do that? That's kind of a strange operation. So probably to see what it's good for, I should first tell you what it does geometrically. Okay, so what does it do geometrically? Well, what you do when you multiply two vectors in this way, I claim the answer is equal to the length of A times the length of B times the cosine of the angle between them. So if I have my vector A, and if I have my vector B, and I have some angle between them, I multiply the length of A times the length of B times the cosine of that angle. So that looks like a very artificial operation. I mean, why would we want to do that complicated multiplication? Well, the basic answer is it tells us at the same time about lengths and about angles. And the extra bonus thing is that it's very easy to compute. If you have a component, see, that formula is actually pretty easy. So, okay, maybe I should first tell you, how do we get this from that? Because in math, one tries to justify everything to prove theorems. So if you want, that's a theorem. That's the first theorem in 1802. So how do we prove that theorem? How do we check that this is indeed correct using this definition? So, or in more common language, what does this geometric definition mean? Well, the first thing it means, before we multiply two vectors, let's start multiplying a vector with itself. That's probably easier. So if we multiply a vector A with itself using this dot product, so by the way, I should point out we put this dot here, that's why it's called a dot product. So what this tells us is we should get the same thing as multiplying the length of A with itself, so squared, times the cosine of the angle, but now the cosine of an angle of 0, cosine of 0, you all know is 1. Okay? So that's going to be length A squared. Well, does that stand a chance of being true? Well, let's see. If we do A dot A using this formula, we will get A1 squared plus A2 squared plus A3 squared. That is indeed the square of the length. So check. That works. Okay?